Okay.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Impacto versus Impact Speed Date. And today we are so excited to welcome Sulaimon Abiola, who's joining Carla and I to talk a little bit more about blockchain and social impact in the global south. I've shared on my LinkedIn that this is something which is very close to my heart. Being of Indian ancestry, great grandparents having come from India and being born in Africa. So we see the disparity, we see it firsthand, we see the constant uphill battle, the challenges that are faced, the increasing digital divide with everything that is moving at phenomenal pace. And we can't not do anything about it. So we're very pleased to welcome you on today, Abiola. It would be wonderful. Although actually, sorry, I didn't introduce myself or let you introduce yourself, Carla, for any of the first time watchers or listeners. I'm Nolene, founder and CEO of Impactoverse, and I will hand over to Carla.
I'm Kayla Philo, the co-founder of Impactoverse and CMO.
Fantastic, thank you. And now to welcome once again our guest, Abiola.
Oh, thank you so much, Nolene. Thank you, Carla. Thanks for that short introduction. I am Sulaimon Abiola from Nigeria. Obviously, I am into blockchain and sustainability. This is my 7th year in the industry. I've been worked with a number of projects in the space, including the leader of sustainability in blockchain, Firechain. I'm super excited to join you guys on today's edition of Impactoverse.
Thank you so much. So you have got a wealth of experience in the project space and actually really real world projects for real impact and impact outcomes. We've talked quite a lot about, the financial systems, how traditional financial systems are quite prohibitive to impact and scaling impact specifically for some of the countries, particularly developing nations, where we really need economic empowerment. Can you share a little bit more about how you've seen from your experience blockchain being a disruptor in this space?
Well, I'll be speaking from two perspectives. I'll be speaking as someone who experienced low financial inclusion as a Nigerian. Then I'll be speaking from a global citizen who has worked with a number of founders in the space, cutting across different verticals and industries in blockchain, sustainability, and environmental development. As a Nigerian, growing up, there were issues surrounding remittances, there are issues surrounding financial inclusion. You have to go to the bank, join the queue, wait for some hours before you are credited or debited, even before you withdraw your money. This local transaction took time. That's when we are growing up, but for the past couple of years now, blockchain itself has disrupted how and the way we transact, even among ourselves. For example, I'll give you some instances. In Nigeria, last 2 years, there was a protest where the government, the government has to lay some embargoes on transactions within Nigeria, and the youth who are the main actors, participants in the protest, devised an alternative means to get paid, which was through blockchain, through Bitcoin cryptocurrencies. So it has reimagined the way we transact, it has reimagined the way we trade, it has reimagined the way we communicate, because now there are now several decentralized medium of communication powered by blockchain. As I've spoken as an engineer. Then if we want to expand it to global citizens, we've seen so many use cases of blockchain, because in the first 3-4 years of blockchain technology, we saw the use cases in finance, we saw the use cases in insurance, we saw the use cases in supply chain. However, some people stood down and they say, oh, can we just expand these use cases to more impactful projects? Like, can we use blockchain to reduce poverty? Can we use blockchain to, minimize energy poverty? Can we use blockchain to increase participation in digital governance. And how can we do this? Because it is so simple, so easy to say, we can do this, we can do that, without having a roadmap for us to do that. Then there are different mechanisms, there are different tools, by technologists, different tools by stakeholders in industry came up with to achieve what we call a just society, to achieve an equitable distribution of resources in the global south. Then I'll give you two examples. The first example is in Kenya with a fintech startup called M-Pesa. I'll give you a before and after scenario. Before blockchain, there are long transaction within time, there are bureaucracy in transaction because payments and transaction have to go through different departments, different procedures, and this introduces corruption, it introduces embezzlement, centralized authority can divert the funds to another recipient, then there could be months, if not weeks, months, even some took years for payments to be remitted, to be credited into the relevant recipient. But with blockchain technology and powered by several structures, technologies in blockchain, we have transparency, we have security, we have decentralization. It has removed those middlemen and accelerate the processing time of transaction among payers. That is first in Kenya. Then we have another one in Indonesia, which what happened when there was like a flood in Indonesia, and youth stood up. They say, oh, we want to take actions by ourselves. We want to use technology to crowdfund. It does not mean necessarily does not have to come from people in Indonesia. Contributions, charity donation can come from anywhere in the world. And this can only happen with the borderless structure nature of blockchain technology. However, for the past few years now, we've also experienced and seen some other use cases that have branched out from finance or payments. People now use NFT for charity and NGO donation. In 2021, UNICEF used NFT to crowdfund for people living in poverty in Nigeria. And there was a record 427 ETH donation received from different donors around the world. So these are some of the use cases of blockchain technology that I have personally seen and experienced as a Nigerian and global citizen.
Fantastic, thank you. So, we've talked quite a lot about this widening divide, the digital divide. And of course, it's developed countries and developing countries. Can you speak a little bit more about access to technology? Because one of the things that of course, blockchain is online, right? You have to be connected. So what is talk? I can see the smile on your face, and it. And later on, I think Istiak joined. Just as you were talking about corruption, and
yes,
he can talk a lot about that as well. But before we move on to that, if you can just talk a little bit more about, what this access issue, right? Because we have the technology now, and we have the means to start to bridge that divide. But of course, it needs to be matched up with infrastructure, development with infrastructure. Do you have any views on that? And can you share a little bit more about that in terms of, that widening divide between developed and developing nations, like blockchain being something that can bridge that divide, if we're able to utilize it? And how do we actually get to that point where we can allow for it to truly permeate some of these corrupt nations, to some of these nations with limited infrastructure? I know it's a very big question, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I was laughing because I'm always super excited to speak on that subject matter, because it's what I've experienced, it is what I have contributed to as a writer, I've contributed as a project manager, And when we talk about the widened digital divide between the developed and developing nations of the world, there's no way we won't talk about numbers, statistics. According to the World Bank, I think Africa, more than 72% of Africans still lack access to the internet. And when we talk about blockchain, we will need internet to access blockchain, at least from the surface, although technically we might not need internet access, technically, but I'm talking from the surface now. However, if you want to deepen blockchain adoption in the global south, two things are involved. Number one is there has to be a political will from the relevant stakeholders, to onboard people into emerging and traffic technology. It may not be blockchain, however, but there has to be this awareness. There has to be education. There has to be a public-private partnership between relevant stakeholders and states. People need to know what is at stake for them. In Nigeria, for instance, when you talk in some states or some rural areas, when we talk about blockchain, people automatically translate to cryptocurrencies, and which are different. And this speaks to the fact that educational awareness in the global south is still low. Then, if you want this to increase, we have to deepen and we have to widen that gap, that access to the internet. Because yesterday I was reading in news that the Nigerian government yesterday approved the first ever blockchain policy paper to be used in the country. That's an improvement, And two weeks ago, I think the Kenya government announced that it has now opened up like a hub, a training hub to train youth in blockchain and other technologies. That's an improvement too. However, it does not stop there. What it has taken thought is developed nations of the world have some impact. They have something to do here, because in most cases, some of these countries rely on aid. They rely on foreign donations. They rely on foreign charities. Then, what are the developed nations of the world doing to expand access to the internet? So it has to be collaborative. Nothing can work in a silo. We can't work in isolation, because this is humanity's chance, to onboard more people into that shared and distributed prosperous nation, prosperous global economy. If we want to achieve what we call the just economy, a federated global economy where everyone is equal, where all nations of the world have equal access to equitable distribution of resources, then we have to widen access to internet access.
I agree. And we're all about collaborations to scale impact. That's the only way that we get to where we want to be, right? We talked about global power structures, and of course, they're the national power structures, and we know what some of the challenges are with dealing with any kind of collaborations with governments, with agendas, with politics. But there are also institutional, not just in terms of political institutional, although they do have political agendas, global power structures. And blockchain, you can talk more around blockchain actually being a disruptor in that space as well, because we know it, we see it, we see how things are shifting. But can you speak to this a little more? And it's fine for us to say blockchain is disrupting global power structures, but I think to give some context around, like, why is that important? Why is it important that some of these power structures are disrupted, and how is that happening?
Well, for power structure, then we'll talk about e-governance. We'll talk about what I call, personally, this is my own coinage, what I call collective intelligence among nations. Because blockchain in itself is borderless. It does not matter where you stay, where you reside in the world, so far you have access to that distributed, non-mediated structure nature of blockchain technology, then you have equal access to do whatever you want to do. I'll give you some instances. During the Ukraine-Russia war, we all saw what happened. We all saw nations of different entities, different ethnicities, tribes come together to achieve a common goal, which was to, mediate into what was happening between Russia and Ukraine. That was political. However, if you want to shift our focus from being political to achieving a globalized pan-national structure, then we talk about project delivery and the impacts of those projects on direct recipient of that impact. For example, World Health Organization is a global institution. We have the World Bank as a global institution, and there are some World Bank projects, systematic projects in different countries of the world. Then how can we ensure that project delivery, is number one, is on chain? When we put our projects on chain, now on the blockchain, then we can monitor the delivery and execution of those projects. For example, we can ensure that, this particular amount, this particular project could be like expanding connectivity to children of underserved communities. How can we ensure that indeed, in reality, this project has been delivered to the right recipient, beneficiary of the project? Then blockchain comes into play. It can disrupt the way we see it. It can disrupt project monitoring. It can disrupt project assessment. What happened in project delivery and global supply chain of project is, number one, manipulation. Number two, uncertainty of recorded information. Then we can also talk about unauthorized access to information and data. So if these three are taken care of, then we will have a distributed, a globalized, permissionless power structure between the states and the citizens.
That is, we've been separately to Impactoverse working with the Sustainability and Environmental Stewardship Group, and one of the members is here as well, Istiak, who, and that's one of the huge areas that we look at, is that transparency and the accountability and actually being able to evidence outcomes, and looking predominantly at supply chain, because supply chain is not just about products, right? And yes, products going end to end. It can also be all of the supply involved in the delivery of a service. So that's highly relevant. And I think one of the things which there hopefully is, we're starting to see some increased adoption, but hopefully there will be even more. I think the difficulty is that where there are broken systems, and not necessarily broken in terms of the technology not working, right? The off-chain technology working, but broken systems in terms of levels of corruption,
bureaucracy, bureaucracy.
Yeah, and those types of things. There is greater resistance to being able to adopt the technology, and that is where the technology is most needed to eradicate some of those problems. But yeah, thank you so much for that. So we've got a couple more minutes. Carl, I don't know if you wanted to join in and ask anything or make any comments, and then we can perhaps ask some of the attendees if they've got any comments or any questions as well. Carla?
Thank you. I just had a quick question, because you've touched on something that's near and dear to Impactoverse's heart, and me personally, and Nolene as well, is getting the word out about what blockchain is to the public, to the people, so that they can advocate for its use. Because if we rely on the power structures to put blockchain in place in a really helpful way, it's going to be very difficult. So do you have any suggestions around how like we continue to educate people that blockchain is not just Bitcoin and what it can do for them?
Well, thank you for that question. It is what I've personally involved in, and at least I've worked with some projects in Nigeria, like 5, 6 projects in Nigeria that we went to secondary schools, that we went to our institutions. We partner with different departments, with the school themselves. We organize hackathons, we organize seminars, workshops, meetups, weekly meetups, where we have, experts that go to the school to talk about blockchain, to talk about digitalization, they talk about smart economy, to talk about how some of these emerging technologies that power blockchain itself. And for the past couple of years now, I think we have seen a whole lot of adoption. We have seen awareness in different schools and meet up, seminars, workshops like this also help, because different stakeholders in Web 2.0 are still skeptical about blockchain. We must make it attractive for them. We must package it to them so that we will see what is possible with blockchain. For example, people in insurance industries, people in land development, which is a huge issue in the global south, India, Nigeria, Indonesia, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Land restoration is a big issue now, and it's an impediment, it's a bottleneck to economic development. So people, players, actors in land development can benefit more from blockchain, but how can they know if we do not take it to them? We shouldn't wait for them to approach us. We should take this once in a lifetime opportunities to them. Let them know what is at stake for them. Let them know the possibilities, the benefit they are getting from blockchain technology.
Right, and I don't want to go too far off in the woods, but this idea of creating nodes, wireless nodes, might have an application for distributing more node control to other underserved areas.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, there is an NGO called Giga from Latin America. In 2021, they were able to facilitate about 30,000 internet connectivity to different secondary schools in underserved communities, impacting about 1 million students in the process. These are some of the things we can do in the global south.
Yeah.
We shouldn't wait for that, for centralized authorities, for governments to do this for us. Of course, we as an advocate of this technology must step into the deciding power and take action to ourselves.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks. I liked everything that you said. I don't know, Nolene, are you still here? Do we want to take questions from anybody? Oh, I think you're muted.
Yes, she's muted.
Yeah.
Yes, I am muted. I was muted. Okay, guys, this is technology, right? This is real life. So, anyone in the audience want to say anything or ask any questions? Istiak, I think a few things have actually touched close to comments and topics you've covered in the past when we've spoken. I know definitely land registration and some of the issues there and corruption, but are there any comments that you would like to make? Please feel free, or any questions you'd like to ask.
Not at present, Nolene. Thank you for the invite. I'm just glad to be here and support your, Impactoverse.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really great to have you, and loving the background over there. Really awesome.
Thank you. I think I put up that it's an AI generative NFT. So I probably put it up on sale somewhere. I don't know, but
Lovely.
It's very, very cool. Yeah, every time I've tried to do one with the text in the background, it's been back to front and try to fix it and never go around to it. But anyway, we'll get there in the end. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Is there anyone else who, even if you just want to say hello?
I think we have Lamidi Adebayo with us here. He's in Nigerian too.
Yes. Hussein Musa, I think, is here, and Lamidi Adebayo. If you guys just want to say hello, even if you don't have any questions or anything, please feel free to.
Yeah, good evening. Hello, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I really pick one or two things from the lectures. So I just want to say hello. For now, I don't have any question. Thank you, sir. Abiola.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, great. Hussein Musa, anything from you, or do you just want to say hello? Okay, not right. Well, we're glad to have you here anyway. And I think that's about it from us today. Short and sweet, but really great conversation. Some really powerful food for thought. Absolutely. And hopefully we'll be able to expand on more things, blockchain and Web3 for impact in coming weeks. So you get to know a little bit more. Definitely working on the education piece as well, Abiola, because I think that's pretty important. Just being able to make it easy, like you say, we've got to make it attractive and package it up in a way that people can see the benefits for them. And really, really great to have you on today. Definitely look forward to more. And that's about it from us at Impactoverse. Thank you so much for joining us. Kala, if you want to say farewell to the listeners and viewers.
I want to make a suggestion, Nolin, before
Yeah,
you
sure,
close
go
off.
ahead.
If everyone can turn on, if everyone can turn on the cameras, you can take a screenshot, put it up on Facebook or LinkedIn. Spread the word about the hype, right?
Okay,
That's
yeah,
a great
it's true,
idea.
it's
So,
let me take a screenshot.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kala, you can go ahead and do that. Yeah,
I will
sure.
tell you just before I do it. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Yeah, that was an excellent suggestion. Thank you so much. Yeah, I did one earlier,
Thank you,
but it wasn't as good as this one. So,
okay, perfect.
all right.
Thank
Yeah,
you
thanks
so much.
All right, bye
awesome.
guys. Thank you.
Everyone, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.